Oh
and
my
we can
God,
talk
get the
about
hell out of here. We can talk about Rodgers.
Get the hell
having-
out of here.
Okay, what is the need to bring up the Yankees?
It's just stuff to bring up because
Are you kidding me? Come on, dude! This came out of nowhere!
not. Clemson is a top team. Don't start with that. Clemson's a top team, no doubt, 100%.
Unless they're on Saturday, then they might move down. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Goat Chat. We hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We're here for our 55th episode. And as always, we're going to start with the Go of the Number segment. So we're going to start with the Go of the Number 55. I'm going to start with you, Mike. Who is your Go of 55?
I'm going back to the 80s. I'm going with Oral Hershiser. He was a pitcher primarily for the Dodgers. He's a one-time Cy Young winner, won a World Series and a World Series MVP in the 88 year. He was just a really good pitcher overall. 3.4 ERA. It's not like he's, this insane once-in-a-generation type pitcher, but he's the best we got for 55.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Mike. I'll swing it over to you, Connor. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with another linebacker this week. I'm going to go with Los Angeles Chargers and New England Patriots linebacker Junior Seau. He was a 12-time Pro Bowler, 8-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro. He was a Defensive Player of the Year in 1992, NFL Man of the Year in 1994. His number 55 is retired by the Chargers. He is in the 1990s All-Decade Team and the 100th NFL Anniversary All-Time Team. Unfortunately, his life was cut short due to CTE and problems with his brain injuries through concussions, but his presence on the field was unmatched. So Junior Seau here, number 55.
Yeah, that's another great pick, Connor. Okay, who do you have, Matt?
I'm agreeing on going with a linebacker, but I'm actually gonna go with Derek Brooks here. He was a linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that won the Super Bowl early in the 2000s, around when we were born. Along with the Super Bowl championship, he's got 11-time Pro Bowl, 5-time All-Pro, Hall of Fame, all 2000s team, 2002 AP Defensive Player of the Year, in 2000 Walter Payton Man of the Year, and of course he's a Hall of Famer. He was just that really big key piece in that Tampa Bay defense that obviously won them a Super Bowl. I think might have been around 2000. I don't even know, 2002, 2003, 2004, around that time, post Brady, I think. Or not post Brady, but after Brady won his first one. I think it was like a couple years after that.
Yeah, it's a great pick, Matt. I'm going to go with a Yankee, and as always, a baseball person. I'm going to go with Hideki Matsui. He was a great Yankee. He played for them for 7 seasons. And, a lot of the players that we talk about in this segment, they've had long careers. He had a shorter career because he had a pretty decent career in Japan as well, and then he came over to the United States and played in Major League Baseball. He played with 4 different teams, 7 with the Yankees, 1 with the Rays, 1 with the Los Angeles Angels, and 1 with the Oakland A's. And he was really solid. He had over 1,200 hits in 10 seasons, which is pretty impressive to compile that many hits in that short amount of time. He was a power hitter as well, 175 home runs, and he hit for average, 282 career hitter. And what I always remember him, what I remember about him is that World Series in 2009. He had the World Series MVP in Game 6 in the clinching game. He was just outstanding. I think he had 6 RBIs. He had a few home runs in that series as well, and he was just a great Yankee. He was a really solid defender as well. A lot of people forget that before he transitioned over to a DH. So he's one of my favorites, and have to go with Hideki for the number 55.
Can we tell that anytime Tommy's talking about a Yankee, his segment just is much longer than when he's talking about a different player?
I know. I apologize. Well, I watched his Yankeeography the other night because on Thanksgiving they have like a Yankeeography marathon. Oh my gosh, it was
We're
great.
watching Yankeeography on Thanksgiving.
Well, they have a marathon every Thanksgiving. Why would I not watch? I didn't watch like the whole day, but
Tommy, our Cowboys were on. What are you talking about?
it was after the Cowboys. I did watch the
Okay.
Cowboys.
I see.
I guess it took place for the Steelers-Ravens game for Tommy then.
It did. It was around the same time. So
All right. Well, I think these are all 4 great players. Definitely awesome to have 4 different people named throughout this segment, but we're going to swing it into our next segment.
Welcome back to Go Chat. We're back with a COVID segment that we got here. We got 3 different sports to talk about. We got college football. Nick Saban and Ryan Day were announced that they're positive for COVID. Obviously, had their games canceled. I know Ohio State, Alabama's got canceled, I think, too.
I don't think it did.
I don't even know who they're playing. I looked today, and I don't even think
The Iron Bowl. They're playing Auburn.
they're playing Auburn.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We could have picked that game for Go Picks. Go Picks is in a little while, but of course we got to go through COVID. So Nick Saban tested positive. Ryan Day tested positive. Then you go to college basketball. We watched Jim Boeheim's press conference yesterday about the NCAA, how the NCAA needs a common standard, and how SU had to stay out for 14 days after a positive test. And then we go to the NFL. Obviously, the Ravens, a strength and conditioning coach, I think it was, had the symptoms and never said that he did. And then obviously they had an outbreak with the running backs. Lamar Jackson got it. And that game is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday. Hopefully it happens because we obviously picked it. A lot of things to fill. Who wants to talk first about this? You could pick whatever sport you want out of 3. Okay.
I'll go first. I'll start with the Ravens and the mishap that the strength and conditioning coach had. This has happened a couple times already with the Titans and the Raiders, where they have broken protocol. The NFL put these rules in place for these teams to follow and to keep them safe. It is so unfair for all 29 other teams across the league.
31.
31.
What do you know? I'm saying with the Titans, Ravens, and
okay.
Raiders, 32 minus 3 equals 29. So 29 other teams, and then NFL to sit there and watch all these teams break protocol and have no punishment enforced. I feel like the strength and conditioning coach on the Ravens should be fired. He's putting the players at risk. He's putting the NFL prestige at risk. He's putting Sunday's game at risk, or well, now Tuesday's game at risk, right? So a lot of stuff is at stake here, and he's probably going to get a slap on the wrist. That's about it. I feel like the NFL needs to come down with a much harsher punishment. They should have with the Titans and them practicing outside the facility when they weren't allowed to practice at all, with the Raiders offensive line and what they did over there. And I feel like the NFL needs to come down and really set a standard that they haven't set this whole season. If they don't set this standard, you're going to see more teams and more outbreaks occur, and the NFL is going to have a problem on its hands.
Well, I feel as though the NFL has been kind of wishy-washy with their punishments through COVID because, the beginning of the season, we saw Sean McVay, John Gruden, I don't remember the other, Pete Carroll, I think. They were all fined $250,000 for not wearing a mask. And there was an additional fine against the team. So I would say that that's a pretty hefty fine towards the coaches and the team. But then once you get into this, then it kind of switches, and then there isn't that huge disciplinary action where, kind of like what Jim Boeheim was saying about the common ground in basketball, for NFL, there just has to be a common ground where you need the discipline to stay the same.
Tommy, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think that there does have to be some common ground there. And, with Jim Boeheim, I don't know, that was kind of interesting because you heard that, there was a little back and forth between Syracuse and Bryant. The Bryant coach said that they tried to cancel the game on multiple occasions. I think he said 5 different times, and Syracuse insisted on playing. And then, Jim Boeheim, he said that they made a mistake by playing. And, Syracuse did end up getting the win in that one by a point. But, I think he is right that there does have to be some common ground, with that. But thankfully, everybody's healthy now. And, it ended up working out in that sense. But no, I agree there.
Yeah, definitely with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that the NFL needs some harsher punishments. I don't know if it should be a forfeit, maybe not. I don't know how harsh that would be to the Ravens, but that did cost. That game was supposed to be Thursday night, and we know Thursday night Thanksgiving games how they are. Like they're probably one of the most watched on Thanksgiving, alongside, in my opinion, probably the Cowboys game that's at 4:25 ish. So that put that postponed to Sunday, and then we find out that the Ravens are canceling their workouts or facilities through Monday or Monday.
Yep.
So then they have to move that game to Tuesday, and then they have to move the Cowboys-Ravens game that was supposed to be on Thursday all the way to Monday, I'm pretty sure. So they're literally like bending their backs for the Baltimore Ravens to get them accommodated. When I honestly just feel bad for the Steelers because this happened already with the Titans. It's just not fair for them. It's not fair for the rookies coming out, going to play Thanksgiving. I know Chase Claypool and Juju and Eric Ebron were vocal on Twitter. So I don't think the NFL is being fair at all to the teams that are being affected by this. Like Mike said, the 29 other teams, not counting the Ravens, Raiders, and Titans. So I just think the NFL needs a common ground here. They need something to put in place and stick by it, or else these teams are just going to be abusing the COVID protocols that are set in place for a reason.
Well, Matt, you mentioned the possibility of a Baltimore Ravens forfeit, but Adam Schefter reported that if there were a forfeit in the NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers players would not get paid for that game. So it'd be a win for the team per se, but as far as the players, they're going to be losing money. And in the hindsight, losing money when they're millionaires maybe not be the biggest of deal, but they're still not getting their paycheck for a game that they were supposed to play.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's just, I think either way we're going it's just messing with the Steelers.
But the fact that they have had these protocols in place since training camps started, and yet we're still seeing these things, it just shows throughout the country. I mean, our cases are on the rise throughout the country, and people look to NFL teams, especially younger people. They look to athletes and everything to show that they're going to stand up and make a change. And it just doesn't seem to be happening. And it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Connor, that there are millions and millions of kids and even adults who their role models are these NFL athletes, and they're being irresponsible, going out, breaking protocol, and even like the coaches. And God forbid any of these athletes passed away due to this virus or became very ill or sick, right? I know Andy Dalton was very ill. I know on Thanksgiving he said he still couldn't taste or smell any food or anything like that. So yeah, the NFL just needs to really crack down on this. I know, they haven't done it before, but it's better late than never. And they have to set a precedent. They have to show that they have a backbone and that they won't back down to one team out of 32. I mean, they have to come down hard on the Ravens, even though they haven't done it before. They just have to set a standard here. I completely agree with you guys.
And you mentioned coaches, so I think we kind of swing this over to the two big name coaches, two top four coaches in the college football right now. Nick Saban has tested positive. It was the second time that he had tested positive. The first time was a false positive. He was able to coach that time, but he now is experiencing mild symptoms, as well as Ryan Day of the number 4 Ohio State Buckeyes. Their game was actually canceled today. They're not going to be playing Illinois. But as of right now, the Alabama-Auburn game, Iron Bowl, is on for 3:30 today. So I guess I just kind of want to get your guys' outlook on if our college teams doing what they should be as to why coaches are getting COVID, or what do you guys think?
I feel like colleges as a whole are struggling with the COVID outbreaks and stuff like that. So I feel like colleges need to crack down on it more. And same with the NCAA. I feel like along with the NFL, that they have to enforce their policies and protocols more strictly. And the same goes for the colleges. So they just got to crack down on it. And if they have a good plan in place, then you will be seeing less and less cases across the NCAA.
To me, I feel like, I don't know if you guys felt like this too, but I feel like the NCAA rules are more lenient than a professional league like the NFL, because I saw coaches like have their masks off, like at least like the mask rule on the sidelines. I've seen coaches with their masks off. I've seen them hugging. So I feel like NCAA rules are definitely more lenient than the NFL rules, or like a professional sports organization like maybe the MLB or the NHL or the NBA. So I don't know if that's playing a toll with the cases, but I definitely think the NCAA has to strike down on this. I feel like the NCAA strikes down on a lot of things, but like not this. I mean,
Well, I think with college football's case and NCAA in general is that within the NCAA there's also these different conferences. You have the Big Ten, you have the SEC, you have the ACC, you have the Pac-12, you have the Sun East. That's not the name of it, but
Sun Belt,
Sun Belt.
SEC, Southeastern.
But they all have their own commissioners and presidents where they can enforce their own rules as a conference, and these teams they're getting rules from the NCAA and then they're getting rules from their conference, and then they don't necessarily know which ones to follow or which ones to enact on, and it's a very confusing process. But I want to switch. If this Alabama game does get played at 3:30, does the presence of Nick Saban not being on the sideline affect Alabama?
I think it certainly does affect them in some way because, he's one of the best coaches of all time. But in another sense, earlier in the year when he had that false positive, they didn't think that he was going to be able to be at the game. So they've kind of had like a test, right, of preparing as if he's not going to be there. So I think that could help a little bit. But, I certainly think it affects it. But at the same time, I think they're going to win the game. I think they're just a really good team, and they're still going to win without him because they have a great coaching staff. But I they'll miss his presence there, but they're still really good, and they're going to win.
Are we were talking about performance wise, obviously, without Nick Saban.
Right.
I don't think it does affect them. I think, like Tommy said, they have prepared before without him, and I just think that team is extremely talented. And like every Alabama team, without Nick Saban, I'm not saying Nick Saban doesn't get the credit for how good they are, because obviously, yes, he's one of the best coaches, that we've seen, especially in our lifetime. But you look at all the coaches that come from, Nick Saban's. I don't know how when he faces every coach, they call it like Nick Saban versus his understudy or whatever. You think about all those coaches that get head coaching jobs. I think that their offensive coordinator, and I think it's Steve
Sarkisian.
Yeah, however you pronounce that last name. I think that he's going to step up, and this might be a good thing to put on his resume, especially if they win and a big game like the Iron Bowl. Maybe I know Auburn's not as good as everyone thought they would be, but it's still a big game just because of that big rivalry. So this is definitely going to be a good game to put on his resume when he's looking for a job somewhere else, maybe this offseason.
I think Nick Saban being absent is going to affect Alabama more than you guys think. Nick Saban is probably a top 3 college football coach of all time. And when he's not in that locker room, when he's not on the sideline, it really takes a piece out of you as a player. It feels like you don't have that one guy you can always count on by your side, right? And especially with the end game adjustments and such a big game like the Iron Bowl, right? I feel like, Steve Sarkisian, he bounced around the NFL a little bit now back in Alabama, OCing under Nick Saban. And, he's a good coach, but it's just not the same as Nick Saban. I do think Alabama will ultimately come out with a victory in this game, but I feel like it's going to be tougher than you guys are laying on, just because Nick Saban is just such a presence in that Alabama locker room.
I do have to agree with Mike there. I think the biggest thing that he mentioned was the in-game adjustments, and Nick Saban's been around that, and he's experienced making the in-game adjustments for years and years and years. And I don't know if Steve Sarkisian has, because I haven't been in a locker room with him, but just to know that like he's going to have to step up and take on Nick Saban's roles. I don't know how it's going to be. I definitely think the presence of Nick Saban is going to be lacked, and they're gonna struggle without him there. I'm not saying that they're gonna lose this game. I'm just saying that it might be closer than a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, talking about in-game adjustments really quickly before any of you guys continue on. Nick Saban probably made the best in-game adjustment in all of college football history when he took out Jalen Hurts at halftime and inserted Tua Tagovailoa, and Alabama ended up bouncing back from a rough first half and winning that championship game. I forgot who it was against. Was it against Georgia? Yeah. So I feel like Steve Sarkisian just obviously we don't necessarily know, but I feel like he doesn't have like the prestige or like or like the legacy behind his name like Nick Saban does. Because once Nick Saban put Tua in that game, I feel like all the Alabama players were like, all right, Saban knows what he's talking about. I'm going to rally behind him. I don't know if they're going to do the same for Sarkisian.
I mean that's a good point you guys make up. I just feel like when we look at Nick Saban's coaching tree with Kirby Smart, who has been an absolutely amazing coach, Lane Kiffin, who's at Florida Atlantic, I'm pretty sure right now.
Yeah.
Just that I think that Sarkisian's gonna step up in that role. He's obviously learned behind Nick Saban. He has so much different good teams that he's been on. I don't 100% know what NFL teams he coached for, but I think obviously it is an effect not having Nick Saban, but I think they're gonna be fine. Of course they're gonna win too.
One more question I want to bounce off of college football before we do switch into Jim Boeheim's press conference was just the fact that, I mean, we've seen it with Wisconsin that they've had games canceled and now they're not eligible for bowl play and for postseason. What do we think about that rule?
It's just this season's such a depressing season. I feel like it's just screwing over a lot of teams. I think also it doesn't help that the Big Ten started late, so Wisconsin's not gonna have a full season of games. I mean, it's the rule. I mean, you can't really change anything halfway through a season because
Right.
it just doesn't look, good if you're. It's kind of like the Ravens thing, they would just be doing it for Wisconsin, and that just because Wisconsin's a really good team, even though they lost to Northwestern. So it's whatever. I don't think they could change it at this point. It's obviously screwing over those teams that start out late, Pac-12, Big Ten. But you can't really do anything about it. It's just this season is going to be one that everyone's just going to forget. Other than maybe, hopefully, we get a good college football playoff. The best thing to remember in college football season.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's unfortunate for sure for the teams that aren't able, like Wisconsin, that aren't eligible now to be in the postseason. But at the same time, you want to make it fair for the teams that do play, 10 or 11 games like they're doing in the ACC. So I understand it, but at the same time, it's really tough for those teams because Wisconsin, they're a really good team. So, I certainly feel bad for them. Wish they were able to, go to a bowl game. But like you said, Matt, this season, it's just people aren't on a level playing field. I mean, I think Utah played their first game last week, right? So it's just a weird year because some teams they win their seventh, eighth game and Utah is starting the season. So, nobody's gonna treat this like a regular season. And as you said, hopefully they'll be able to, have a good college football playoff and that's what people remember. But we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, certainly unfortunate for those teams.
Mike, do you have any comments on that, or do you just want to kind of switch into Jim Boeheim's comments?
I mean, you guys are totally correct on what you're saying. It sucks that they don't get to play in bowl games, but the season is just kind of a wash, and it really stings for the seniors who won't get to play next year and lose a year of eligibility. But what are you going to do about it now? They at the end of the day they just haven't played enough games.
Yeah, my co-host pretty much wrapped that up as best as they can. So we're just going to switch over into the Jim Boeheim comments. Obviously, for those of you who don't know the Syracuse basketball story, they had one positive test, and then Syracuse basketball operations were shut down for 14 days, and just because of one positive test. And then they were able to come out and play against Bryant yesterday. But as Tommy said, Bryant tried to cancel the game. Syracuse says they should have. They played really sloppy. They did manage to get the win by 1 point. I think it was 86-85. But after the game, obviously Jim Boeheim went and said that we need a unifying ground. We need common ground throughout NCAA, and we need proper rules. Matt, why don't you just take me through what you thought? I mean, I know you and Tommy are both big Syracuse basketball fans. You guys idolize Jim Boeheim. What did you think about his comments?
I mean, you guys just might have saw I got my pajama pants on. Sorry that got into the screen a little, but yeah, it was a really rough game from the start. Syracuse just didn't look like a Syracuse team. It was like their first playing together. Like they had no chemistry at all. And obviously losing 14 days of practice. I think they had 1 day to practice for Bryant. But losing that 14 days of practice, you can't have a good basketball team with that. I think basketball is it's a big sport on team chemistry and how you flow with your team. Because if you don't have team chemistry and you just have talent, we've seen teams like especially in the NBA just blow up with really good talent, but no team chemistry. So that's what you're going to need going in. And I think that what Jim Boeheim was kind of pointing to is, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the ACC makes you wait 14 days after a positive test or something to that effect. In Gonzaga, they had a positive test, isolated everyone, tested the rest of the people, and they were all negative, and they went on to play their game yesterday against Kansas. I'm not really sure. So I think that's what Jim Boeheim was saying during all of it. I'm not even getting highly invested in the college basketball just because, what we've seen in college football with all the cancellations because of positive tests. So you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I think if that's the case, then it's definitely not fair. That's why I think the NCAA should kind of come together and have a common ground for everyone instead of just having the conferences do it, because you could have a team like Gonzaga, and if they're going against Syracuse or some case, or like let's say Brian had a positive case and then they isolate everyone and everyone else was negative, and then they're practicing every day, but Syracuse isn't. It's just not fair. And I just think, to Syracuse to play that game, I agree with Jim Boeheim. It was just silly because Syracuse went out there. They could have hurt their resume if they lost. Thankfully, they just got out of with a win, but they just looked awful. Like, it's just, you could tell that they weren't practicing at all.
Tommy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there has to be some common ground there. And as you said, it's almost impossible to go out there after being off for 2 weeks with no practice and then to try to win a game. You're not really going to beat any team if you do that. And, fortunately for Syracuse, they were able to get the win. But you're right, there does have to be common ground because that's not fair. And I was watching his press conference a little bit. He said if they were playing Duke yesterday, or if this happens in the future and they're playing Duke, or
They would have alone.
yeah, there's no contest there. So, they're gonna have to figure it out. But at the same time, I think it is a learning curve for everybody. I know that we're a good bit into this pandemic, but I'm sure that they'll get sorted out before we get too far into the season here. But yeah, definitely something they got to work on.
I mean, we talk about Nick Saban and being a top college football coach and the resume and the view around his name. I mean, that's Jim Boeheim with college basketball. Maybe he doesn't have enough titles to back that up with just one 2003, I think. But he's led a very good Syracuse basketball program for many, many years. Their court is named after him, and he has a big following. He has a lot of he has viewership. I'm trying to think of the word. He has, oh my god,
Fan base.
a fan base. Yeah,
I mean,
pretty much.
Yeah,
He has experience. He has experience in what he's doing, and when he talks, people are going to listen. So let's hope that after his press conference, there's going to be a change to the ruling.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I totally agree with you guys. There should be uniform rules across NCAA basketball. I don't know why different conferences have different rules set in place. COVID doesn't affect any conference any differently than the other. No matter where you are in the country, when you get COVID, you got COVID. It's going to affect you the same way, it affects someone else, right? So I feel like it's absolutely ridiculous for the NCAA to be this lazy and unthoughtful to put a standard in place across the NCAA, right? And because it's just completely unfair if you have Syracuse going out and not practicing for 2 weeks while Gonzaga is able to, isolate, quarantine, get tested, and practice the next day if they're negative. So I totally agree with you guys that there needs a uniform set of rules in place across the nation.
Matt, did you have any comment before Mike started talking?
No, I honestly don't remember what I was going to say, to be honest. But
I think we kind of touched on just about everything COVID that's going on in the sports world right now. It's obviously been a it's not a good topic that we want to talk about, but I feel like it's something that we do have to talk about because of everything that is going on. Obviously, just stay safe, stay healthy, keep your 6 feet away, wash your hands. That goes for everybody, whether you're an athlete or not. And we're going to swing it into Go Picks.
Welcome back to Go Chat. We're back with the Go Picks. Just to finish off this episode, we got 4 great games. The leaderboard is up right now. Connor is still in first. Me and Mike are tied after the Deshaun Texans beat the Detroit Lions. And Tommy is 3 games behind us since he decided to take Kansas over Gonzaga.
Well, it's not like it's an awful pick. It's not
It
like
was a very good game.
yeah, it was a good game.
I
so.
can't say I watched it because I was watching football, but
didn't
I
watch
did
it
check
either.
the recap.
I watched it at the end, like it was close for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh boy, I might win this." And then you know what? Gonzaga just pulled away, and it like wasn't even close at the end. But
Oh, you weren't watching your little Yankees bibliography pedia or whatever?
it's Yankeeography, not Bibliographypedia. But no, I watched that game and then I switched right back to the Yankees.
Okay, well, we got no Yankees games, Tommy. I'm sorry. We got 4 great NFL games. We're gonna keep the Steelers-Ravens game, put that one aside since we did it last week. But now we got the the Colts and the Connor. This is way too early in the morning. We got the Colts and the Titans. Connor, who do you have? Let's just get this over.
We all picked the Titans for when they played on Thursday night, and the Colts won. I think it was 27-14. I don't see the Colts sweeping this series. I think Tennessee is going to ride their momentum from last week after an overtime win against Baltimore and continue that going, where Indianapolis had a hard-fought win against Green Bay. They had to go into overtime as well. But I don't know. I think Tennessee is just going to ride the hot hand. I think it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry. I think he's going to find a way to exploit the Colts defense and give the Titans a win.
Mike?
I totally agree with you, Connor. I just think that these teams are just really even. They have extremely different play styles. You know, Tennessee is more of an offensive-based team, while it's the polar opposite for the Colts. But I think Tennessee is going to find a way to win this game, and after a big win against Baltimore last week. And I just think that while the Colts are a really good team in their own respect, I just think that they're going to split the series.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. I think Colts are the better team, to be honest. Like that, I'm just gonna say that, but I don't think they're gonna sweep it. I think it's very difficult to sweep a division rival, especially when that division rival is the same record as you. So
Don't say that, though. It is easy to sweep a division rival when you are in the AFC East. I mean, the Patriots have done it for years.
I mean, I'm saying like with like a really good team, like they're both the same record, aren't they?
Yeah, they're both 7-3.
Yeah, so like you're going up against 7-3. That's not easy to win. But I think the Colts can take it out, but I got the Titans. Tommy.
I'm going with the home team. I'm going with the Colts. They're going to get the win. They're going to sweep the series. I know it's difficult to do, but they're going to get it done. I think they're going to win this. You know, it hasn't paid off for me when I've differed from you guys, but you know what? It's got to happen sometime, so we'll see.
You know what, Tommy? You differed the end of the last round, and you got within 1 game. So maybe it's going to work. It's not, but
Hey,
maybe.
you never know. Never know.
Okay, Tommy, whatever you say so.
Thanks.
Next game we got is the Vikings Panthers. Connor, I'm gonna start with you. Of course.
You know, I've come on the show and I've been very high on the Vikings. I was rooting for them big last week against the Cowboys. They weren't able to get that done.
Why
were you high on the Vikings?
Yeah, when it,
I said on here just a couple weeks ago that I think they could sneak into the playoffs.
you think every team could sneak into the playoffs?
You said the Falcons.
Yeah, you said the Falcons at 3-7 were going to sneak into the playoffs.
No. I said the Falcons weren't out of the division race, is what I said.
No, you said
So done.
the playoffs. You change your thing every time. You're like, no, I didn't say this. I said that. And then we say, you said that. And you said, no, I said this.
I think you guys are delusional. It's 10:47 in the morning. I think
Okay, Mr. Dementia, go ahead.
you guys need to go back to bed. Anyway, I am going to pick the Vikings here. I think they are a really good team. Dalvin Cook is going to be NFC Offensive Player of the Year, maybe even a candidate for the MVP. So I see the Vikings winning this game rather easily against the Panthers.
Mike.
I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. The Carolina Panthers rush defense is bottom 3 in the league. and we saw what Dalvin Cook did to the Cowboys last week. Even though they lost the game, he rushed for 120 yards. I could easily see him going for 150 plus this game.
Yeah, I got to go with the Vikings. Carolina, we don't even know if Teddy Bridgewater is 100% ready to play.
I'm pretty sure Teddy's going to play. But even if, regardless if it's Philip Walker or Teddy Bridgewater, I'm still enrolling with the Vikings.
PJ Walker.
His name is actually Philip, though. So I'll give Mike that, okay? But I'm going with the Vikings. Tommy?
Yeah, I agree with you all. I am going to go with the Vikings. I just think that they're slightly better than the Panthers. I think they'll get the win.
Are the Vikings home?
They're
No.
the home team. They're
Oh, they
gonna-
are the whole team.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I don't think they are.
They are. I'm
thought
Whatever,
looking at it right-
I'll search that while Connor picks the next game.
I'm looking at it right now. They're the home team.
Okay, Tommy. I'm just going to double check.
Double check. I'm looking at it. All right, here we go.
The Vikings are the home team.
Take us away.
Next game, let's go.
Vikings or Rams, 49ers.
Rams 49ers. 49ers have had just a lot of pieces missing on defense throughout the entire season, going all the way back to week 2 when they were on the MetLife turf and had, I think, 3 torn ACLs in the same game on their defensive line. I think the Rams are going to win this game. The Rams are going to come off a really good win against the Bucks and just continue to flow well.
Mike.
I'm going with the Rams as well. Like Connor said, they're coming off a big win. 49ers are absolutely decimated by injuries. This is a Rams win here.
Yeah, every episode we come on and we pick games. I feel like sometimes we have that fourth game that, it just doesn't fit with the rest because we're all going to go one side. Not this week, but, most weeks. So I think this is the one game that is just kind of that we're all going to go one side. I'm going to go with the Rams. Hopefully, Tommy, Rams are home. You were right on the Vikings, by the way. So
He was looking at it, Matt.
I was literally looking at it. Like, it's not like I was guessing. I'm going to go with the Rams, another home team. They're going to get the win here. Not too much to say about it. I just think they're going to win.
Okay, last game we got Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is home, Tommy. Connor, you went against Tampa Bay last week. Are you going to do it again?
Absolutely. I don't think this game is going to be close. In all reality, I don't think this is going to be a close game. Kansas City is leaps and bounds above where Tampa Bay is right now. Tampa Bay is one of the top overrated teams in the NFL because they have a explosive offense at times, but other times we see that it just falls right on their face like we did see against the Rams. I think Kansas City is going to win this game probably by at least 10.
Mike?
I agree that Kansas City is going to win. I disagree on the point that, the Bucs have no chance and that Kansas City is going to win this game. But, obviously, I think Kansas City is going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a closer game than you put on. And I think the Bucs are going to go out there and compete, but I think Kansas City then is going to win the game.
Yeah, Connor kind of alluded to our last episode. So if you haven't checked that out, go check out NFC or NFL overrated teams. We obviously talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but going back to this, I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs. I'm never gonna pick Tampa Bay again. If we do Tampa Bay and pickups, unless I think it's blatantly gonna be Tampa Bay, I'm not gonna go with Tampa Bay because I just wasn't having the luck. And obviously, Tom Brady, you can just retire, please. So
Tom Brady's a sore loser.
Yeah, don't even get me started about that. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Big game from Patty Mahomes. Tommy, Buccaneers are home.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with the home team. I think that Kansas City, they're just much better. But at the same time, I agree with you, Mike. I don't think that it's going to be a blowout because I don't think it can be, right? For the Buccaneers to have a chance to really compete, I think they have to play well in this game. I think they're going to come out and play really well. I don't think that they're going to win. But they have to start turning things around. They're a really talented team that hasn't quite lived up to their potential. And I think that they're going to come out ready to go. They know what this game means. They're going against one of the best in the game, Patrick Mahomes. So I think they're going to play well, but Kansas City's going to come out with a win.
I think you guys are going to be surprised by the final outcome of that game. I don't think it's going to be close.
Tommy, the Buccaneers are gonna have fans, buddy.
I know. Hey, I gotta go.
Buccaneers had fans against the Rams last weekend.
Tommy, I'm going to give you a one-time chance. Do you want to switch to the home team right now?
I don't want to switch. I think that Kansas City's going to win this, no problem. But the Buccaneers are going to play well.
They're gonna put up a fight.
Yeah, they're going to play well.
I don't think they do. We've seen Tampa Bay get blown out before, and now they're going up against the number one offense in the league. They're going to get blown out.
The only problem I have with Kansas City is they don't have a defense. They don't have a relatively defense to stop the pass rush or the passing. If Tom Brady is actually playing like a decent quarterback. So that's what I think is going to be. I think Tampa Bay is going to put up a fight. I'm going to have to agree with them. As much as I hate Tampa Bay, I think it's going to be a better game than you think, Connor. But Connor, I hope you think you're right. I hope you're right. Like, to be honest, that's just me being honest. I hope you're right.
I'm right most of the time. So
You
You
are.
were right about that Ohio State spread. We'll definitely even though I don't want to get it. He texted us 30 minutes before, how's that Ohio State spread? I text back, crickets.
No response, nothing. He was too scared to even say a word.
That's going to wrap up a great episode number 55. It's been a great one here with the guys. We're going to be back again on Wednesday. I forgot our schedule for a second. But until then, definitely just go hit that subscribe button, follow on Instagram. Like all our videos, we do appreciate the support. Let's try to get those numbers back up to where they were a couple weeks ago. But overall, we do appreciate it. Obviously, stay safe, stay healthy. We hope you had a great Thanksgiving and ring into the holiday season with your family. Definitely a good time to be with your family right now. Go Chat's going to be back on Wednesday.